So we're high-end diamond, and here comes our prizes. Oh, we've got a male and a female. Female 73 kilo, male 74, 104 kilo. He's getting it. He's going to look good on my wall then. Some distance, less than 100 meters. Dropped. Oh, she's off. Deers, born absolutely petrified. And die the same way, poor things. Let's go bag our prize. Oh, broke its heart. Booyah. How's it going, gamers? Another day, another video, and in this one we're going to be going over some of these extremely harmful and dangerous comments made by a Twitch employee who goes by the name of FerociouslySteph. Now, FerociouslySteph has been taken on by Twitch's Safety Advisory Council. To keep the video short, we're going to be referring to the Safety Advisory Council by its acronyms, which is SAC. So basically, SAC has been put together to just give advice on policies and updates. And as anybody knows, when it comes to advice, you have the choice of either choosing to listen to that advice or not. It's pretty important. But what I do find strange is when I look at this roster of people and I look at the way it's, you know, supposed to have been set up by Twitch, I find it very, very strange that somebody who's with a bunch of experts who deal in cyberbullying and harassment are issuing the following statements. I mean, this alone to me makes me think maybe Twitch isn't as safe as they try and make out. I'm not going anywhere. I have power. They can't take it away from me. And honestly, there are people who should be afraid of me. And they are, because I represent moderation and diversity. And Twitch is endorsing me to do that. So, I would love to find out who these people are. They can't take it away from me, and honestly there are people who should be afraid of me, and they are. Who are these people? I'd really like to know. Are they streamers on Twitch? Because, you know, I'm looking at it, this isn't something set up by, you know, NATO or the United Nations. It's not dealing with things outside of Twitch, it's dealing with things inside Twitch. So what's going on there? I mean, if this is that bad, where a Twitch employee is turning around and saying that there's other people out there who use the service who should be afraid of me because she represents moderation. But then you look at actually what is SAC, and it's there to give advice for policies and updates on things. It's just advisory. How much power does Steph really think she has? Strange. So, like I say, at the end of the day, Twitch is one of the biggest streaming platform services on earth. Now, Steph's got a channel set up so it's for mature audiences only. You know, she has mature content, but that's absolutely not stopping the ages of people who are 13 plus, which is, you know, the age group for people who join Twitch and stream maybe Minecraft, Fortnite, or whatever. There's nothing stopping, say, the viewers being a part of another channel which isn't set up for mature audiences, seeing this controversy, talking about it, and then going seeing for themselves and listening to some of these statements. Some of these kids who could be exposed to this could be minorities. They might not be males. Can you imagine? You're 13 years old. You're really, really passionate about video games. You come from India, maybe, right? You're Indian. You're a girl, and it's your dream to be one of the most successful video gamers, the top 1%, and you have an employee of Twitch turning around and saying, listen, the top 1% of esports is dominated by straight white males. They've harnessed communication or something along them lines, and you've got absolutely no chance in hell of being able to take that advantage and use that advantage. We need to take that advantage away, because until then you haven't got a chance. Can you imagine that? I think that's very, very harmful. As a parent, I really do think that's extremely harmful to come out with. Now we're going to look at this data. The top 1% of esport victors. Right, well, unfortunately we have to go back to 2019, the nearest. Now I can cherry pick any year I want, but I don't have to. We can't obviously look at 2020 because of the outbreak, but we'll just get right into it. Now, Fortnite's World Cup was dominated by a kid called Booger, who's from North America. And he's in the solos where he's not using voice chat. He also dominated some duos with a Canadian kid. In League of Legends, that was absolutely dominated by China's Fun Plus Phoenix. How many people are in a League of Legends team? Already that 1% of white is slowly trickling away, isn't it? Then we've got the COD World League USA, Overwatch. USA won the first gold medal in the 4 years of the Overwatch tournament, because it's usually dominated by South Korea. Then we've got the International Dota 2 Championship, that was won by Europe. Now, I'm just going to hold up a sec, because I don't want anybody out there who's very, very discriminatory thinking, oh, well, you just said USA, Europe. They're predominantly straight white areas, straight white male areas. Yeah? A lot of people would disagree, but let's have a little closer look. Let's look at this European team for starters. A kid from Pakistan, a lad from Malaysia, a lad from Finland, a lad from Macedonia, and a lad from Denmark. We've got so it looks like a pretty diverse team, the European team. And we've got Rocket League USA. Street Fighter 5 was won by a guy called Masato Bochan Takashi. PUBG just about snatched by Russia from South Korea. If you look at the actual points, the wins and things like that, it was a very, very close tournament. Then we've got IEM Kato Wise Counter Strike, which was won by Denmark. Now we're looking now at the top 1% this year. 2018, 2017, 2016, and you go back and you go back. And as you look at these people, there's two things I noticed. One, there's absolutely nowhere on the internet whatsoever that describes the champions' sexual orientation. You know, how they identify with sexual preference, if you will, whether they're straight, whether they're bi, gay, so on and so forth. There's no information whatsoever. So I'd love to see where Steph's getting the data from that. I'd love to see Steph's data when it comes to these top 1%ers, because, you know, this is somebody who works at Twitch, and Twitch stream constantly. They have channels dedicated to it, of streaming them in tournaments. And I just cannot find this data anywhere where the top 1% of these people in team-based competitive games are all straight white males. It's being dominated. There's just no data to suggest that. And it's shocking that an employee of Twitch, like I say, that streams gaming tournaments, is coming out with this stuff. If we actually analyse what Steph is trying to say, and that is one of two things. Either straight white males putting other minorities off being able to use voice communication effectively, then if that's what she's trying to say, that's bullshit. Because you can look at how esports games are set up, how the tournaments are set up, and I'm pretty sure one of the major factors when it comes to rules is you're not allowed to be able to listen in on the enemy team, because that's an advantage you've got over them. You're literally in the communications. I used to play a game called Dust 514, and the reason why I became extremely effective using voice communication is because I was on a team with a guy who's half Mexican, half Guatemalan, and he ended up migrating to America. And our team was made up of Mexicans, and it was made up of people who spoke English. And our team leader was so effective with both languages, you could tell the lads in Mexican what their objectives were, while in the same breath, literally, telling the English-speaking team in English, the English squads, what their objectives should be. And the way this guy had mastered both languages in a way where he could effectively use them in voice communications like that, just even in casual games, never mind in the conquest side of it all, was phenomenal. And that's why I started using voice chat the way I did, and I saw how essential this was. It's my personal experience with it. Turning around basically and saying that voice chat in video games is an advantage only straight white males are able to harness is extremely harmful, extremely dangerous, and extremely racist. It's as simple as that. Now, also, Steph likes to talk about linguistic profiling, while in the same breath stating that people she hears in voice chat that are against the banning of voice communications in competitive games are all cis-sounding straight white males. Basically, cis, that's what cis means, straight white males. That is linguistic profiling. Now, if anybody looks into what linguistic profiling is, it's a theory of racially profiling somebody by listening to the voice, by determining what ethnicity they are, what gender they are, what age group they are, maybe even what height they are. Racial profiling. We have a Twitch employee racially profiling people linguistically. And in the same light, she's turning around and saying she doesn't want people's linguistic profile taken away from them. That's sheer hypocrisy. So, at the end of the day, I'm going to leave it like that. But before I do, as somebody who's been playing video games for 3.5 decades, I'll say what I've noticed. And that is, video games community is the most diverse community mankind has ever had to offer. In any field ever. We are so diverse that we are all races under the sun. We are all age groups, from single digits all the way into the near triple. We are all the magical genders you can pluck out of your little rainbow. We are all the sexual orientations people can identify. We are all religions, all faiths, with or without belief. It's as simple as that. We're all mankind has to offer. With that, I've seen some of the worst the gaming community has to offer, and some of the best. Some of the most amazing, wondrous things others outside of it wouldn't even believe. I've seen gamers be cruel. I've been subjected to it. Everybody I know in the gaming community has received hate mail one way or another. Some of us are thick-skinned. It's like throwing pebbles at a rhino. Others are extremely sensitive to it. I believe there's an ulterior motive behind Steph wanting voice communications removed, because one thing Steph has been trying to do since 2016 for the past 4 years is build up a competitive team that can hold its own in esports. And for 4 years, Steph has failed. And Steph has come to the conclusion that the only reason why she cannot build a competitive gaming team is because everybody else is taking advantage of voice communication, and that's something Steph and her team are failing to do time and time again. Sounds like a you problem, Steph. And because you have a handicap you're unable to overcome, you wish everybody else should be disadvantaged the way you feel you are. That's a you problem. That's something you have to deal with. Get over it. Move on. Sort your head out. Learn from it. Maybe you're just not meant to be able to put a competitive team together to rival in tournaments. Maybe it's just you're just incapable of doing it. Have you ever thought about that? My final thoughts are this. You can take it however you want, but this is the gist of it. What we have coming out of this Twitch employee is someone who once identified as a white male, who is imposing their white guilt onto people and saying white males' opinions don't matter. Looking at the statements, looking at the quotes, looking at the twits, the twitters, whatever you want to call them, the tweets, this, that and the other, I come to the conclusion that Steph herself is a white supremacist, is racist, is sexist, is transphobic and homophobic, because she's under the impression that straight white males have an advantage no other marginalised group out there can master the ability over. And I think it's extremely disgusting, extremely harmful and extremely racist. Can you imagine being one of the 13 plus in the age group listening to this and thinking that there's absolutely no way you're going to even have a chance in competitive gaming because you're not straight white male? That is absolutely dangerous. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. That's my thoughts on it. I really do hope, beyond hope, that people leave Steph alone. If you want to go and debate with Steph over it all day long. But do not attack her character. Attack what she has to say. Yeah, I do believe this, and what she is saying, whether she knows it or not, is attack and against the gaming community. We have it all the time. We have it from so-called gaming mainstream media outlets. We have it from developers who have the audacity to expect us to go out and buy their products 2 months down the line. We have it anytime some absolutely disgusting, insane crap happens in the real world. We have it from politicians on both sides of the political spectrum pointing the fingers at gamers. I get sick and tired of it. I really, really do. Unfortunately, not all of us are able to take this on the chin. One thing that runs rampant, unfortunately, through the gaming community is depression. I really hope Steph takes a long, hard think about some of the people who could be listening to some of the words that she's saying and how it can really, really greatly impact them. Or it can instantly crush somebody's hopes and dreams in the future. Anyway, that's that. I hope you liked the video. If you did, hit that like button. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the channel, hit that bell button, and you'll get notifications from YouTube every time one of our videos goes live. Thanks for watching, and as always, good gaming out there.